Hey, this is Leo for actualized.org, and in this video I'm talking about a critical topic. I'm going to tell you how to stop caring what other people think about you. Why do we allow other people to have so much control over the way that we live our own lives? Have you ever wondered this? Have you ever wondered why you let people have so much power over you? Because you are doing it. And if you're a people pleaser, if you're somebody who's watching this video and this topic is something that resonated with you, and you want to stop caring so much about what everyone's thinking about you, then you should really sit down and take a deep look. And I'm going to help you to do this with this video. This is going to be a foundational video because I think that this is a problem that almost all of us face. Some of us face it to such a degree that it's literally crippling and destroying our lives. This is a personal topic for me because this is something that I really had to struggle with for a long time, not just for a few years, but really for my whole life. This is almost like a theme, a motif of my entire life is struggling with this. And just over the last year, I've made some really big progress. You know, I've been making good progress for the last maybe 3 years, but especially the last year, I've made some really good progress as I've really taken my personal development to some advanced stages. And I have some mindsets that I think I can share with you to help you right now, right at the end of this video, to walk away with some big shifts. There are going to be some paradigm shifts. So if you're facing this problem, then stick with me. I know a lot of people have been asking about this topic. This is a topic that I really wanted to do justice to. I've already shot this video several times, so this is probably my 5th time recording it. I've shot it in various places from Death Valley, etc. And I'm re-recording it now because I want to make it really have punch. So my own struggles, let me start by talking a little bit about those. Really, I moved here to the US when I was 6 years old. I moved here from Russia, and that was an amazing time for me. It was really an amazing experience. There was so much here in the US that was not available in Russia at the time. When I moved here, it was in '91, which was right before, about a year before the Soviet Union collapsed. So I moved here and my family relocated, and it was great. Except one problem in that transition was that I started going to school here, and I didn't know the language when I went to 1st grade. So I had to really learn quickly, and I struggled for a while in school trying to, catch back up. And one of the things that really crippled me there was that it was really hard for me to fit into the culture of the people here in the States in school. So I always felt like I was kind of the odd one out. I always felt a little bit weird. I always felt like I wasn't normal. I always felt that I had to work extra hard to fit in with the culture that's here. And that left some kind of deep impressions on me, some deep maybe scars, nothing traumatic, nothing shocking, but still, when you got a young mind and you're faced with that kind of challenge, you can use it to kind of scar your own self, and then you can develop this kind of complex where you feel like you're always assessing how people think about you. Maybe you can relate with that. When you're walking down the street, you're always in the back of your mind thinking about, what's that person think about me? How do I look in his eyes? How do I look in her eyes? When you're having a conversation with a girlfriend or a boyfriend, you're thinking about, oh, how are they going to interpret that? What do they think about me? When you're talking in front of a group of colleagues at work, in the back of your mind, you're always running that analysis, right? Always running that analysis about how you were perceived, how you come off. So this was me for a very long time. It might be hard to believe now because I've really worked on myself a lot. Shooting these videos just in and of itself has helped me a lot. So there was that. And even more than just this incident of coming here to the States and kind of the culture shock that I had to deal with and trying to fit in, but the next thing that I really faced was that my dad was an interesting example because he was the type of person that simply did not give a shit what anybody thought about him. And it's really quite remarkable. It's almost awe-inspiring. There were good and bad components to that. There's good and bad in that. But the problem that happened with me was that I was seeing that and I was interpreting that thing of not caring about what people think of you. I was interpreting that as bad. I was thinking that that was a bad thing. And so usually what tends to happen is that your parents, your mom and your dad, they have certain values, and kids will either align with those values and they'll tend to go along with those and they'll adopt those, or some of those values kids will do the opposite with. They'll just rebel against them because they see them as being bad or something that they don't want for themselves. So that's what happened in the case with my dad here and with trying to be a people pleaser. In my own mind, I rationalized it like this. And if you're a people pleaser, then you probably can relate to this kind of line of thinking. In my mind, I said, well, I don't want to be an asshole. I don't want to be uncaring. I want to be the good guy. I want to be the white knight, right? I want to be the goody-goody. I want to be empathetic. Like, I want to care about people. So I'm going to go out of my way and I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be extra nice to people. I'm going to make sure that I do things well. That's kind of a philosophy that I set for myself very early on. And I kind of rebelled from that philosophy of, fuck it, who cares what people think? I'm just doing my own thing. And now it's been many years, and I've been kind of going full circle, coming back to originally what I shunned, because there were a lot of problems with this people-pleasing mentality that I adopted. So that's what we're going to do in this video, is we're going to really help cure you of your people-pleasing tendencies. Let's first take a look at why this is happening. What's really going on here? Why are you trying to people please? Here's what I've kind of come to, this conclusion. Here's how it works. You've got an image of yourself, a self-image. And in your mind, you've got this picture, this mental picture of what you think you're like. We all have this. But you as a people pleaser, your self-image is very specific. Your self-image is that of this noble person. You're a good human being. You're a caring human being. You're not like some of those other human beings who just kind of stumble aimlessly through life, not caring about others. You don't want to hurt other people's feelings. You want to do good. You want to do right in the world. And you want to be perceived as a good, kind-hearted human being. The kind of human being that you imagine yourself to be, your ideal self. You've got this ideal self. And you want this image to be reflected in the external circumstances. So it's not just enough that you have this image, but you want validation of that image. You want evidence that your image is accurate. You want this evidence from your boss. You want it from your mom and your dad. You want it from your brother, your sister, your wife, or your husband, or your girlfriend, your boyfriend, or any of your friends, or any of your customers, or any of your clients, or even a random stranger on the street that just glances at you. You want all of those people to validate your noble self-image. You want to be approved of, and you want to be loved. That's basically what you want. And because of this, you are working very hard to maintain this image. Because, as you can probably already guess, when you've got all these random and various people in your life that you're trying to please, that you want certain reactions from, that's not an easy thing to get. That's not an easy situation to architect. So what you're doing is you're running around and you're literally trying to architect your life in a way that people are giving you the most approval possible, so that your self-image is upheld. And you can say, oh, look, I am this noble person after all. She said so. He said so. They said so. This guy said so. It was written about me here. It was told about me there. You're looking for that confirmation evidence. And anytime you hear evidence that is contradicting the self-image, that really, really disturbs you. Really disturbs you. It sends you into overdrive to work extra hard to correct that, to make sure that you don't get any disconfirming evidence. So you want both confirming and you want no disconfirming evidence. And that's what you're always working towards. One of the ways that you work towards this is by telling yourself that you want to be very empathetic, right? You really care about the feelings of other people. The problem is that being empathetic, while it can be very nice, in your case, for you, it's a trap. It's a huge, huge trap that you are drowning in like quicksand. Here's a fundamental problem that you need to come to grips with, is that although it's nice to care about other people, nice to do good things for them, to be empathetic, to understand their feelings, you are a living, breathing organism. Over 1 trillion cells comprise you. Each of those cells is almost like a little mini living organism by itself that's struggling for its own survival. All of those add up, create you. In a very deep sense, you're not even in control of how selfish you are. You are an incredibly selfish organism. And to deny this nature within you is a challenge, it's a problem. Because when you deny that you are very, very selfish, and when you tell yourself that you're this altruistic person, when you try to live up to that, the problem is that that's rubbing against your very basic nature. Very basic nature of the human being. And when you put the feelings and the priorities and agenda of everybody else in your life above your own, then you're really putting yourself in this adversarial relationship with your own nature, because your own nature is going to fight back. It's not just going to take it. It will take it maybe for a little while. Maybe it'll even take it for a few years. Maybe it'll even take it for a decade, but it won't take it indefinitely. And so problems start to bubble up, right? You can't suppress this stuff. Resentment starts to build up, anger builds up, all sorts of tensions build up in your relationships. You start feeling unfulfilled, you start feeling inauthentic, you start not being able to create and live the kind of life that you want, which is ultimately why we're talking about this, right? The reason that this is a problem, that you care too much what people think about you, is because it's preventing you from building your dream life. You can't do it. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in detail as we continue. So at this point, and I want you to be very mindful of this, what your mind might be saying if you're a people pleaser is something along these lines. You might say, but Leo, so what are you talking about here? You're telling me that being empathetic and being caring is a bad thing now? When did this nonsense come about? This is good. You're telling me that what, I'm supposed to be an asshole now? That's what your brain might say. That's what my brain said for a long time. Here's the thing, you got to be nuanced here. Don't let your brain bully you. Don't let your brain engage in black and white thinking. Because right now, what your brain's telling you is, I can either be a goody-goody on one hand, or I can be an asshole on the other. And I definitely don't want to be an asshole, so I'm going to be this goody-goody. And yes, there's some downsides with that, Leo. I understand, not everything's perfect. There's some pros and cons, but this is far preferable to being an asshole. So I'm going to be this goody-goody. I'm going to continue to struggle and suffer the way I have for my whole life. But it doesn't have to be this way. I'm going to give you a new alternative. The new alternative is what I call the middle way. The middle way. If on this end of the spectrum we have self-sacrifice and altruism, and on this end of the spectrum we have the careless asshole who's a monster, cold-hearted monster, then what do we have here? Here we have an interesting thing. We have someone who is completely independent of the good or the bad opinions of others. But yet, he or she is grounded in his or her own values. And those values are good, and those values are right. And that's the end of it. That's the bottom line. That this person is grounded internally by their own values, and whatever opinions are out there about this person